and my fellow friends YouTubers, this is Kurt and welcome back to the Kurt's Place channel here on the YouTube. Well guys, now in this video I'm actually going to show you how you set the Dipswitch settings on games in the 61 Icade board. I've had a number of people ask me how you do the Dipswitch settings in the 61 Icade board, and in this video I'm actually going to show you how I do it. Now I'm actually running an Icade board actually here in my Red Rocket bar top arcade machine. I'm actually going to show you in this video how you actually go about setting the Dipswitches. Alright, so now what you're going to notice is right now the game is playing. Now, on my bar top arcade machines, when I want to do settings, I actually have on the JAMA board that connects to the board, the actual harness that goes into the board. If you look at the diagram here for the actual wiring diagram for the JAMA harness, there's actually going to be a button here that says test. Now what you want to do is you want to have one button wired in the test, and that's what we're going to use to access the game menu. Now you're going to notice that I have a test button here, but if I push the test button, it doesn't do anything right now if I hit the test button. In order to access that, I have to turn the machine off and turn it on and then hold this button down, and you're going to actually see what happens when I do that. Alright, so let me go and unplug it here. Alright, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug it back in, and this time I'm going to hold down the little red button here, and that's actually the test button to put this in test mode so I can set the Dipswitch settings. Now when I power it up, I hold this button down. This is the test button. You also can wire a button in for service as well if you'd like, but I just found that the test button works pretty well. Now what you're going to notice is that when the game comes up, it's actually going to go in, and now once you see the screen come up, then you know that we're currently right now we're in test mode. Now you're going to see there's a thing here that says test next, so you're going to hit the test button. Alright, you're going to hit the test button again. Now this is actually going to bring you to the screen that actually has all the Dipswitch settings. Now from this screen that you're seeing here, this actually is where you can enable and disable games as well. If you don't want to play all your games on the 60-in-1, there's 60-in-1 has 60 different games it offers. Now keep in mind that 5 of those are varieties of the same game. They're just in regular speed like on Pac-Man. But it actually, I think technically this actually has 55 games, and these are all the games. Now, if you have games that you don't want to play, for example, maybe you don't have a trackball game, well, by going down this list here, you can actually hit a button, and you're going to see here there's a thing that says on, off. You can actually turn them on and off here if you want to. And what you would do is you would say, for example, like if you don't want to have Mappy on, you would go ahead and if you want to turn Mappy off, you would hit the one player button, and then you're going to see it's going to change it to off. And then to save it, you hit the one player button, and that actually saves it. You always have to hit the one player button when you're doing setup to make sure you save it. Now if I want to put it back on, then I just do the one player button again, and then I just hit the do the setup button, and then click OK. And that basically is how you enable yourself to turn on and off all the games. And you're going to notice here when you look at the game list here, you're going to notice too that some of these games are fast speed and slow speed, as you're going to see here. These games that are in red, these are the fast, like Miss Pac-Man, Galaga Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man, Pac-Man Plus. These are all fast mode versions of the games. I actually set the speed into Dipswitches, so I don't have to have these enabled. And you're going to notice I have all of these turned off. Now, if you're wondering how you actually set the Dipswitches, that's what I'm going to show you next. Okay, I'll go back to that. All right, I'm going to go back to the top, and then I'll show you how you actually go ahead and set the Dipswitches. Now, what you're going to notice is you're going to notice on the top here, you're going to see that there's a Dipswitch menu here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to hit your test button, and what that's going to do is that's going to bring you into the Dipswitch menu. Now these are your Dipswitches. Now every game has a set of Dipswitches, and what they do in this book here is there's actually a book in here. In the manual, it's actually going to show you where all the Dipswitch settings are, such as how you turn them on and off. These Dipswitch settings actually match the screen up here, and what you do is you move the joystick over to the button that you want to change. So for example, if you want to change the number of lives, you would enable it. And then by moving the joystick, these are each of the buttons you're going to notice, it highlights the Dipswitch setting that's currently in place. So whether you want to turn it on or off, that's how you would use your one player fire button to turn it on or off. And you're going to notice that it tells you what each of these does as you go through here. You're going to see how it shifts through the different switches. This is how you determine how you want to set each game. Now when you have a game set, then you're going to want to click the one player button to save the actual setting. And then when you want to go to the next game, you just hit the test button. And you're going to notice every game there's Galaga, you're going to notice every game has a set of Dipswitch settings on top of it, as you're going to see here. See all the Dipswitches? Every game has one of those. Now, once you get to the end of the list, you're going to notice all the games on here have it. Now, one really thing to keep in mind is, especially if you're using a trackball. Now, for example, Centipede. If you're using a trackball, now I'm using a Suzo-Hap trackball on this bar top arcade machine. I found that the Suzo-Hap trackball, this is a 3-inch Suzo-Hap trackball, works absolutely phenomenally with this cabinet. Now, the one thing you're going to want to do when you get this, you're going to want to get you're going to want to get a cable that actually goes with it. Let me show you what the cable that comes with the trackball looks like, and then what you're going to have to get. Now, when you buy the actual trackball, you're going to get a cable that looks like this that comes with the trackball. You're going to see, if you buy a Suzo-Hap trackball, the one like the Golden Tea machines use, this is what the cable's going to look like. You're going to have cables that go to the optics, one for each of the optics, and then you're going to have a 6-pin connector on here that's going to come with this. Now, this particular unit will not connect into the 61 Icade board. You need a thing called a COM cable. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to eBay or go to Google. Just type in 60-in-1 trackball connector, and what's going to happen is there's a connector that's going to actually allow you to connect the trackball into the COM unit that's actually on the Icade board. You'll know what the COM unit looks like because it's actually labeled, and also when you go to the actual board itself, it's actually going to show you here in the diagram as well here. And I think I have it. Let's see if we have it in here. I think I do here. Let's see. Let's see if we have a breakdown of that so I can show that to you. Let's see. Do we have that? Let's see. Yeah, I don't have an actual diagram of the arcade board in this particular one. But what you're going to notice is when you go to the Icade, you're going to notice you can actually look up Icade images online as well. You're going to notice that the board's going to have a COM1 and COM2. That's actually what this particular cable is going to plug into when you get the one that goes with it. It's going to be very similar to this, but the difference is it's going to be a smaller pin one. It's going to have 4 pins and it's going to be smaller, and that's actually what's going to plug into the Icade. So just keep in mind, if you're using a trackball with the Icade, you're going to want to get a 60-in-1 Icade trackball adapter so you can plug it into the 60-in-1 Icade board using the cable that comes with it. You're going to replace the cable that came with the Suzo-Hap with this one here is the original one with that new one that you're going to get, and then you just basically wire it in accordingly to what the instructions say on the Icade board. And also, you can also go online to read about it as well. But you're going to notice that on Centipede, you can set the move speed to fast. I like the trackball to respond very quickly. So that's where the move speed is going to be. You're going to notice there's a button here that says speed, move speed. This is what you would change. The factory mode is actually slow. You want to change this to fast, and that allows the trackball to respond a lot quicker when you're using it. And same thing with Centipede. You have a fast and slow setting on there as well. But you're going to notice that all the Dipswitch settings, same thing here. You see how they have move speed fast? That's the thing. Not every game has a move speed, but the ones that use the trackball do have, for the most part on this, they do have a fast and low setting on that as well. Now, some of the games, for example, like you're going to notice at Arkanoid, you see where it says move speed normal? You have a normal, and you have a fast. So if you want to change that, you would go to the setting for that, right here, and you're going to see how it says normal, and you're going to see there's one for normal, and then there's one for fast. By hitting this button, you can either have it normal or you can have it fast. Now, I actually prefer to have that fast, so if I change it to fast and then hit the one-player button, it's going to save it. You always have to hit the one-player button after you do the setting to save it. That's very important to remember when you're doing this. And now as I go through the rest of these, you're going to notice that these are all the Dipswitch settings for the rest of them. Now, the last thing you're going to see, once you get through all the games, you're going to notice there's a thing on here to adjust the volume control. Now, that's going to be the last thing you're going to see. All right, so let me get to the end here now. Okay, now this is the actual volume control. Now, one of the things people have asked me about is they asked me, how do you keep the sound from being distorted on the Icade board? Well, the way I do it with my machine is, I don't change the volume adjustment. I leave the volume adjustment at 18. I use an amplifier. If you go to my video on my arcade machine, if you go to the video, the Red Rocket Bar Top arcade machine, you're gonna notice on the Red Rocket Bar Top arcade machine that all my arcade machine, all the bar tops use Lapide 2-channel amplifiers. I actually adjust the sound and everything from the back of the amplifier for the speakers. I don't use this setting here. I just use the one in the back. I just leave this the way it is, the way it comes, and it works perfectly. And then the last screen you're going to have is going to be here where this is actually where you can test out all the buttons. This is where you can check to see if your buttons and things work. Same thing with the trackball. You see how it highlights? So whenever you're moving a thing, this is what tells you if all your buttons are working. Now you're going to notice now too. Now there's a button you can connect in here called service. I don't actually have a service button connected on this. I just have a test button. So what I would do is, then when I want to restart the unit, I unplug it. And then you're going to see the difference now when it comes up. You're going to see the difference between when it was in service mode and when it was like when it's in game mode. All right, now I'm going to plug it back in. Now you're going to notice that when I bring it back up, it's going to go into the actual game board itself. It's actually going to go into the actual regular startup mode for the game itself, for the game board itself. And also keep in mind the things work differently for different boards. But now you're going to notice too that it's going to say system initialization. What this is doing is this is setting in all your game settings and everything that you have for your games. Now, the fewer games you have enabled, the faster this is going to load up. Every game you have in there has to load in. So if you only have 2 or 3 games, it'll load up very quickly. Versus it usually takes about a minute and a half for it to load up. But you're going to notice that once the system initialization finishes, then it's going to go to the actual game itself. You're going to see the actual game screen come up for the Icade board. And now you'll see that. So now you know how to do the Dipswitch settings when you have an Icade 16-1 board. It took me a little while to get it all set up, but I found it works really well now. Now we're actually going to go now to the main menu now, and now we're actually at the main menu now. Now you're going to notice too that I can't select the game right now because I don't have a credit in. You can select whether you want to have free player. Now I prefer to use coin op on this because I don't want to have to listen to the music all the time. I prefer to use coin op, but once you have the coin op button selected, you're going to notice it just goes to them. Once you hit coin up, then you're going to have actually access to be able to select the game that you want to play. And you're going to see they have a pretty good number of games on here too. And just remember, that's how you set the Dipswitch settings on the Icade 16-1 board. It's not very hard to do. It takes a little bit of practice, but the great thing is you don't run any risk of messing up. If you mess it up, just turn it off and turn it back on again and try to do it again. So there you go, guys. So there's how you do your Dipswitch settings on the 61 Icade board. Now I also want to mention, by the way, too, if you want to go click the subscribe button, feel free to do so. That way you can keep up with all my current videos. If you like what you see, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you have any comments, leave them in the comments section down below. And I also want to mention, too, if you want to help show your support for the Kurt's Place channel, I do have merchandise available from the Kurt's Place channel store. There's a link to the Kurt's Place channel store in the video description down below. You can get things such as hats, mugs, and keychains. Alright guys, I want to thank you again for tuning in to the Kurt's Place channel. Hope you all have a great day now, and as always, thanks again for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Have a great day now. Bye-bye now. We'll see you next time.